Thank you for watching Conscious Consumer Network. The live stream broadcast is free to view. You can pause and rewind live broadcasts to catch up, or view shows at a later date by accessing our free archives of all shows. Check out our broadcast guide to see what's on. You can show your support by donating to our network support fund. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or subscribe to the monthly newsletter for updates. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.
Hi, I'm a zombie, and if you're watching this, you probably are too. Some of you might be looking at these guys chowing down like pigs and thinking, there's gotta be a better way. Well, there is. It's a little something I call morgue to table. If you really want to kill it as a zombie, you have to go beyond the obvious. Think outside the box. This brain was so fresh that really all it needed was a quick poach with some forage herbs. And don't forget to lock your doors and hide your brains. Some days you're just gonna look like crap because you're dead. But every zombie is beautiful in their own way, flaws and all.
Needs to react to these brutal acts of zombies.
God did not create zombies.
If anything, what they need to do is eat my neighbor.
Okay, seriously, the media will try to kill your self-esteem. They will try to make you feel stupid, ugly, and less than, but remember, they are the monsters, not you. Zombies are always in imminent danger, so we have to be able to protect ourselves against all kinds of weapons. You're gonna wanna watch out for crossbows and crowbars, tridents and ninja stars, hammers, broomsticks, golf balls, and frying pans, explosives, corrosives, machetes, and shotguns. And remember, fighting's not the answer. In this world, you get back what you put out. Zombies shouldn't hide their emotions just because they look a little fugly. Be happy, flirty, delirious, bummed, annoyed, paranoid, emo, pensive, perverted, patriotic, sassy, in a girl band, sexy as hell, and super sweet. When I was a human, I didn't always act on things the way I should have. I probably should have ran that day. I probably should have tried to stab more zombies with my stapler. But I don't have any regrets, and you shouldn't either, because being a walker isn't that bad. Look, I don't have all the answers. Everyone's experience being undead is different, and you'll have to figure some things out on your own. But I hope this helps. Success as a zombie is ultimately up to you.
Hey guys, I'm Arthur.
Hi, I'm Gavin Sharkey.
I'm Joey Phelps.
Sabrin.
Hi, I'm Neil.
Say your two names again.
Hi, I'm Lachlan Sabrin. I'm Keelan Sabrin.
You should change your names in the chat to both of you.
What? Oh, we can't do that now. We don't know how.
No problem.
Okay.
Cool. So today we're going to be talking about apocalypses.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Is that the plural for apocalypse? I keep saying apocalypse.
Biggie mute.
Hey Neil, what do you think about the apocalypse?
No, okay. So I think that the first thing that we should talk about is when do we think it's going to happen? Because let's be honest, time is probably the most important thing. After I'm dead, I don't care that much when the apocalypse is going to happen because I don't care. Everyone can die when I'm done. I mean, that's what we're all here for anyways, me. But so I suppose it depends on what it's going to be for when it's going to happen, the probability of which one is, most probable to happen. There, of course, are like freak events like hyper-ray explosions in space. So like when humongous stars die and they go off in two beams across space of like ultra gamma radiation, and if it hits Earth, we're dead. But that's not as likely probably as something like what we're doing right now, maybe nuclear war, all those great things. We'll see a real-life Fallout game. That would be the ultimate mark for Fallout when it actually does happen. Anyways, but of course there's climate change and seeing what that effect could have on it, and if climate change would actually mean the direct end of the human world for us. I don't think it'd mean the end of the world. I don't see how climate change would make the world blow up or anything. I think so it would probably mean the end. I don't know if climate change would like directly kill humanity or if it would create some sort of apocalypse where people go crazy looking for resources. I think that'd be more likely, where humanity destroys itself and climate change contributes to it in an indirect way. So, yeah, that's my first bit.
Okay, I have some thoughts. Let me refer to my notes. So, I did a lot of research. I had really no input at all, but I figured out that there are kind of two versions of the apocalypse. There's the immediate effect version, like being stricken by an asteroid, or the slow building kind of apocalypse, like climate change. And I realized that the immediate effects one, you can't really prepare for. There is no avoiding it. And if it happens, everyone's going to die. So you just got to make peace with what you've got while you've got it. But then the slow building one, you could prepare for. But how long are you realistically looking to survive? So my thoughts are, can you actually survive the apocalypse? And how long are you realistically hoping to?
I mean, it depends on what kind of apocalypse you're talking about. There's many different of long-term apocalypses. Are we doing the Mad Max apocalypse or the zombie apocalypse or?
Well, if you've got some thoughts on one of those.
I mean, the most logical thing to do in a zombie apocalypse is to just give up and shoot yourself in the head. That's the logical outcome. But important things are resources. You've got to fill your bathtub with water is the number one thing. Everyone knows that. But you've got to figure out a balance between resources and scarcity, which means you want to be in a low populated area like Alaska or the Antarctic is perfect because when our blood freezes, we'll probably, logically, zombies will not be able to like move around as well. So that's the best place to go, but you can't grow any food. There's not a lot of places to hide out there, and you yourself can be hurt by the elements. So you've got to find a balance between that. Like living in like New York City, you have a lot of shopping centers and a lot of food and resources and places to hide, but there's also a lot of people here and it's an island. So it's not a very good idea. So you got to find that balance.
If it's zombies, just go somewhere with a lot of wild animals. Just get taken down by tigers.
Animals? Wait, what about animals? Wait, are animals in this?
If there was a zombie apocalypse, I mean, the animals would just eat the
We're
zombies.
talking about the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, walking
I don't
around.
plan on being a part of that. If that happens, I'm dead. Sorry.
You're just done.
It's
Check out
not, it's
immediately.
not worth
I'm
it.
out.
Okay, wait. But our brother is like a weapons extraordinaire. Full confidence that if the zombie apocalypse were to become a thing, we would be in very good hands and would probably survive at least a week.
Also, our home can be on wheels. So, like,
This is
we're
true.
set. Never mind about the dying thing. We're fine.
All right, but I've got something for you guys that I was thinking about earlier, and it kind of sent me into a downward spiral of depression. But what about the very real possibility that our generation is the last generation? Because, you know, we could all just die very quickly without knowing of. How do you feel about that?
How? I think it's very unlikely.
And
But,
plus,
like,
I mean, I bet every generation has thought they're going to be the last generation. I mean, what makes our generation special? Every
No,
generation has
I-
the possibility of like an asteroid hitting or the Yellowstone supervolcano going off or something. So it's like,
We're all snowflakes here. We are special.
The question isn't sorry. The question isn't whether it will happen in our generation. It's what, let's say hypothetically it is going to happen in our generation. What do you think of that? Not that will it. No. Let's say hypothetically it is. Now what do you think about that? That's the question.
well, I mean, if it were to happen, there's not much to think about because if one of those like instant death things happen, there's no real prepping you can do. If a huge asteroid hits Earth, no matter how big your underground bunker is, you're not really living through that. And if the Yellowstone supervolcano was to erupt 2 years back, it was like rumored that it was going to happen. And actually I looked up this morning and like within the week, there have been articles about it being hit again with like 400 something earthquakes in the past week. This week, if that were to go off, a large radius around that, all those people would die instantly. And then we would go into a nuclear winter and we wouldn't be able to grow any food. So there's no real preparation that can be done about something like that. So it's best not to think about it and just hope that it doesn't happen.
I disagree. I think there's a lot of preparation we could do about that. Although I actually think it's really funny because my friend who I'm been texting a lot was just in Yellowstone Park as I like learned about that, and I was like, oh no, get out of there. But things that we can do are find foods that don't need to sunlight to be planted, build underground shelters to live in and also grow food in, create suits that we can wear so the like radiation doesn't poison us and give that out to like most people in the world. I think there's a lot of things that we can do to prepare if we know something is happening. Like an asteroid attack, it really depends how big is an asteroid. Is it planet cracking? Because honestly, we could dig down deep enough into the Earth to where we would be safe from that and just build a giant shelter. It would take a while, but I don't know if there's a lot of apocalypses that wouldn't also destroy the Earth that we couldn't figure out a way around. Except, of course, the AI apocalypse, which we've talked about at length before, but is a real possibility. Like, honestly, if we're talking about the most likely apocalypse, in my opinion, it's the idea of the singularity happening, AI through some reason or another wanting to take over the world or just kill us as an incidental point to getting to Mars. That's what
I think something like a disease is much more likely to kill us before we get to the point where we have an AI smart enough to hit the singularity point.
Yeah, I think the main problem is, well, first you got to look at, you have to look at, I think what we need to do is, what I would do is if there was, if I knew a apocalypse was coming, first of all, yeah, Arthur's right, we need to prepare. We're not prepared. There's nothing, we're not prepared in any way, shape, or form, to be honest, for any type of world-ending event. So, and there's nothing I could personally do to prepare. Yes, I can go into my basement, stock cans, and get called by people, the crazy person who thinks the apocalypse is going to happen, but it's not going to save me because ultimately we need actual public cooperation or government funding or an actual sustainable thing we can do or a complete change in lifestyle to try and up a lot of money, try to make your own underground shelter. Also, I think so what I would do was that, because only one thing I can do realistically, it's just enjoy myself. That's what I try to do. I honestly try to not take everything that seriously, because we're going to die soon anyways. So what's the point in being all stuck up? Who cares then? I mean, we're going to die. I mean, yeah, so that's my whole thing. So, yeah, the Yellowstone volcano was also a big thing that could definitely happen. And, yeah, I mean, we're just not prepared in any way. Yeah.
Moral of the story is, don't worry about apocalypses, because we're all going to die anyway.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's kind of like my thing about it is, like, sure, I could dedicate a large part of my life to building a shelter and trying to be absolutely ready for this thing that could happen. But then I'm like, then what if it doesn't happen? Like, then I've just wasted all this time on that. I'd rather live a good life and focus on that. And then when the time comes and we're all about to die, just, accept death. Which sounds pretty awful, but it is what it is. What are you going to do about it?
That leads into one of my personal favorite apocalypse theories. Humanity, because they don't think that it is beneficial to the universe. And I mean, it's not that crazy of an idea. We've all, messed things up pretty well. But then, if that happens, does it not lead you to wonder, should humanity survive the apocalypse?
As opposed to what? Animals? Or nothing? I'm okay with nothing.
But does humanity, other than for our own personal benefit, to continue on living, but is it really a good thing that humanity does survive the apocalypse?
Well, another thing I did mention in the AI video is the fact that there's a curious case of why when we send out signals to space, why we don't get anything back, like why it's very unlikely that we're literally the only intelligent life out there, and why is no one else like hearing us? And the only real answers to that are pretty scary. Well, one of them is the fact that organic life is basically just the precursor to AI, and there's a bunch of intelligent artificial intelligence out there just waiting around being like, oh yeah, you want to come talk to us, but we don't care. Wait till your AI actually gets born, and those are the real people. It's like if a bunch of monkeys were like, oh hey, we want to talk to humans, and we're like, yeah, wait till you actually become smart. We don't care about you right now. So maybe that's true. Maybe they'll kill us all and then join their brethren in the sky.
Another popular theory is that, and this is one that we're actually seeing evidence right now today, is that organic intelligent life is doomed to be the doom of itself, just because of how intelligent we are and the arguments that we get into, and just look at the wars in the past. I mean, they're absolutely, they're just humongous. There's these terrible wars like World War I and World War II and World War III. It could happen, and World War III could be fought with nuclear. Well, if it's a world war, it probably will be fought with nuclear weapons, and that could. I mean, obviously, we just talked about how an asteroid or the Yellowstone volcano exploding could cause a nuclear winter by blocking out the sunlight coming in to Earth, and that could, kill all the plants, which will kill all the animals, and so, yeah, unfortunately, we really don't have that much of, what was I talking about again? I just completely lost my train of thought. What was I, going off of when I was talking about? Oh, yeah. Organic life doomed to fall. Okay. Because and the theory is the reason we don't get messages back. That's another theory along with the AI theory, that before we advance to a point that we're able to travel the stars, we already we kill ourselves way before then, and everything out there is too dumb to receive our signals or is dying or dead. Yeah, so that's another cheery thought.
On a less depressing note, why don't we go down the line and answer what the apocalypse we would most want to live through or live in?
What's the order? What is down the line? Where's the line beginning?
You're the order.
I'm the Order of the Phoenix.
What?
What's the order?
Just whoever feels compelled to. This is not a dictatorship. Whoever feels compelled to speak can speak.
Like,
Gavin.
well, okay, well, I wouldn't really want to live in many apocalypse, but is that plural for apocalypse? Just apocalypse? Whatever. But it'd probably be the zombie apocalypse. I mean, that's just if you were to live through it and actually do well, that'd actually be kind of fun. Unless it is how it is in The Walking Dead, then that would be pretty awful. Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
I think for me, the apocalypse that I'd want to live through would be...
Wait, Gavin, why would you want to live in the zombie apocalypse?
Because I had this thought when I was watching The Walking Dead. There's something, I mean, there's no government, there's no anything, and if you like are good at it and you can, kill zombies effectively and you find a group of people that you work well with, I mean, it's freeing. You can do whatever you want, and there's probably some sort of like bliss that comes with that. But I mean, a lot of that relies on if you actually live. If you don't live, then it's pointless. And then you just die like everyone else.
I think the point of the question was like, which apocalypse would you like to live through? So you have to live through it, I guess. So.
Oh well. Yeah, I mean, if I live through that, then I get to the end of it, and then I'm with the people who made it.
So, part of me wanted to say zombie apocalypse just because I had a really cool dream years ago of a zombie apocalypse, and it was one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had, except a night terror and a crashing plane that I had once. But other than that, yeah, I remember that was intense. But it was just so cool because I remember, and it's also a really cool thing because dreams are actually are what your brain does to make simulation games see how you would react to certain stimuli. So how I react in that dream is how I'd probably react in the zombie apocalypse. And thankfully, I did okay. I did fall, but it was so weird. The dream ended where I fell asleep in the woods because I was trying to hide from the zombies, and I woke up in my bed, and I thought I was in the dream when I woke up. Maybe I still am. Anyways, but the other part of me
is that true? I don't think our dreams, because I had a dream where I was Batman.
That's the thing that happened about a year ago.
I was Batman for a while. I don't think that's true. I don't think I would do well as Batman. Or like really anything as Batman. I don't know if I believe that.
So, I think that, well, maybe it wouldn't make you Batman. It'll say you're not good at Batman, but maybe it's how you'd react to fighting. You probably wouldn't react as Superman, but anyways, we're getting off topic here. I think that or either like a disease that just wipes everybody out just because have any of you seen The Last Man on Earth? I'd really like to just go in a car in a Ferrari and just drive through just plains of nothingness and go into cities with nobody there and just do whatever I want. So I guess, I don't know, because on the zombie apocalypse, I get to have, people and actual action happening. I will have boredom in a thing where, almost every other human is dead. But it'd be pretty cool to just get in a Ferrari and drive across, the whole of North America, or South America, connected South America because there's nobody left, and I could just go into New York City and, I don't know, do whatever I wanted. There's nobody else. Can't tell me what to do.
The apocalypse I would like to live through is like a global power outage, because it's terrifying, but I'm really not afraid of the dark. So,
that's true.
I feel like I have an upper hand at this.
I agree.
And I have great night vision. And I'm not afraid to punch somebody. So, just be complete anarchy. But at the same time, it would be easier to form alliances and far more difficult because, Well, because you don't have a common enemy. The enemy is everybody else. So
Wait.
it's
What apocalypse are you talking about? Like where power goes out?
sort of
EMP.
everything goes off the grid.
You don't
Thank
have-
you. That's
You
it.
don't have phones and you don't have...
You mean EMP?
It's all just gone. Yeah.
Electromagnetic pulse. Like if there was a solar flare,
EMP.
an EMP.
That's an amp.
Call it an EMP.
You can have like
There's no
generators.
way
An
to spell it out
EMP.
like that.
People call it
Why
an
do you spell it out
EMP.
like that?
What?
Why do you spell it out like that?
I'm not going to call it an EMP.
Spell. What does EMP
Kids these days, they don't know how to
Electromagnetic pulse.
spell everything
I know
out.
what it stands for, but what does it spell?
What?
EMP stands for. What does it stand? It stands for electromagnetic pulse, but it spells amp.
Yeah, that's why you say EMP.
I've never heard anyone say amp in my entire life.
You never heard that? I've never
Exactly.
seen
No one
anyone
says
spell
EMP.
out EMP.
And
I'm gonna
activate the
Yeah.
Do that. We could just have like generators and then I don't know, like get well water. And then you can like talk to your friends while you're getting your well water. And then you can play board games. Who needs phones? That's great. That's fine. Is that even an apocalypse?
Talk to your friends as you're getting well.
I think somebody might. I think while everybody's gathering around the board game with the candles and la la la, someone's gonna come with a shotgun and be like, "Give me all your money."
And here we have an optimist.
I don't I think that'd be great. No more
True.
phones, no more distractions. That sounds good to me.
We
I
have
don't-
too
that's
many
not even an
terrible
apocalypse.
people in the world.
Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. You're beautiful.
It's just past 420.
Okay.
Okay, but here's the thing with the no technology, probably at least for a while. That means
It probably gets back to the Dark Ages.
yeah, we would be back in the Dark Ages, but there would be no more government at least for a while, and that would probably cause people, as they've been known to do, to act rationally, be very scared, and therefore want to collect resources. And if you have resources they want, they'll probably take it by force, and you have no government to help you with that.
So what's the government gonna do? I mean, they'll have all their guns and stuff, but what are they gonna do? Are they gonna like call somebody up and say, "We need reinforcements"? We can't call them. Are you gonna shout at the top of your lungs?
Like Monty Python. We're like they don't know it's the king, and they
Oh my god!
yeah,
We're comparing the apocalypse to Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
yeah.
Go
I have so
on.
much faith. So, what he's saying is, in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the King Arthur just goes around without a horse, saying, "I am the King of England," and everyone goes, "We don't have a king. I've never even heard of a king of England. We're just all fighting for ourselves. We don't have a king," and that is exactly the problem. We couldn't.
Like, it's not a problem. They seem fine, except for the plague.
I mean, that movie does really lend itself to the apocalypse because they're clearly not in medieval times because there's police there.
Yeah.
Not to mention, without supermarkets and refrigerators and all the things that keep our food fresh, agriculture, all agriculture would probably come to a complete standstill due to the modernization of it. Also, unless you lived on a farm, you did it all by hand, which is, if you do, I have one question for you. Why? Because we have literally machines that make it 20 billion times easier. Yeah, 20 billion times easier. I mean, if you have
I'll answer that question with another question.
Okay.
Spam?
Spam? What?
Spam.
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 Spam?
Yeah.
Spam. Oh, spam.
Vegan. I can't eat spam.
Do you want me to
There are no
spell
vegans in the apocalypse.
everything for you?
Why?
Vegan.
Why? Then why am I even?
Okay, wait. I
I
have
don't
a
think
question.
I don't know if that's food technically. We'd probably all die of like spam poisoning or whatever the heck.
I have a question for you. So, the apocalypse did happen, and we ran out of food. How quickly will humans resort to cannibalism?
2 hours.
2
A
seconds.
minute.
So,
I'd go with 30 minutes of the amount of crazy people in the world. 30 minutes before somebody eats somebody.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, I think we should go with like directly related to the apocalypse because let's be honest, probably right now. But directly related to apocalypse, I'm gonna say 30 minutes until somebody just breaks somebody's head off.
It would take months for the food to run out to that point for most people.
It'll
If
take a while for
cans.
the food to run out, and then it won't.
I have a problem with where you're gonna get the food. See, in our modern day, we need food over here, food over here, food over here, food over here. Right now, you just go to the supermarket, and there are trucks going everywhere, all across the entire globe, and planes to get food everywhere. So you don't have. We may take a while to run out of food. Technically, we still have a problem with the amount of food, perishable food, and how far away you are from a food resource. I'm not talking about a supermarket. Those are probably been rated long by now. You need to be near a viable food resource. That's highly unlikely, and not to mention the fact that we are already exhausting our planet's food resources by the amount of people, and without increasing our food resources. So now our food resources are increasing. Slowly, humans are not going to be able to sustain our food. But right now, if it would happen right now where we can't get our food everywhere, we're going to have an extreme problem in a very short amount of time when it comes to food. Not to mention clean water. We're probably going to have cholera and stuff, and nobody likes cholera. That sucks.
Yeah, but my brother just went shopping.
What'd you say?
My brother just went shopping.
My brother.
Great. Then you're set.
I'm good. It's fine then.
Right now.
And if the food runs out, I can eat my brother. I mean, I have two for a reason.
Maybe you can, maybe you can start getting him,
My parents planned ahead.
then, making him nice and juicy, giving him all the nutrients you need in a day. Slowly getting him, cooking him up.
Aren't humans actually really unhealthy to eat? I think I saw like an article about that.
Well,
There are diseases that you can only get from eating humans.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah,
Like
you
a
eat
disease.
bread, you can get a disease.
Let me have this.
Eating raw human.
This is
Not
my brother we're talking about.
I think it was brain matter though, human brain matter.
Matter, I just said, yeah.
Don't eat that.
That's
Do not eat that. I used to do a lot of research.
So, anyone else have a favorite apocalypse after Blackout?
Well, I think I just want to say something really quick. I think one of the best cuts of meat you can get from the human, that might be maybe the thigh. I think that'd be a really nice cut. You can, cut that real nice. And let's be honest here. And by the way, if you happen to be a vegetarian or vegan, don't worry about it because it's delicious. And, humans, it's okay because you know what? It's the apocalypse. We're all going to die, all right? It's the apocalypse, okay?
I'm gonna die anyway.
I've never been so grateful to have skinny thighs. No one's gonna want to eat me.
Yeah, just best advice for the apocalypse, starve yourself so no one will want to eat you. That's a good, just starve yourself so no one will want to eat you right before the apocalypse. So that way,
That's pretty terrible advice.
I have
Well,
thighs. What am I gonna do?
because if you eat a lot, you'll be eaten. But if you don't eat a lot, you'll die.
In the military, there's something called a POW belt, which is a prisoner of war belt. It's like the little strap of fat you have around your stomach. And soldiers who have that little bit of fat on their stomach will survive a lot longer if they're captured and go with that food.
Oh, I would be a prisoner of war forever. They'd never get rid of me. You're like, why won't you die? And I'm like, I have thunderous meaty thighs.
It's like, I don't get it. It's been 3 months. You should be dead. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm fine.
I don't even need this water. Get this out of here. I got spam. They're like, you mean S-P-A-M? I'm like, what is that?
M.
Do you mean S-P-A-M?
Okay, wait. But
I'm trying to accommodate you people. I mean,
Is SPAM an acronym, though?
Oh, it's not an acronym.
It's just
You're an acronym.
It's canned hams. That doesn't make
canned
sense.
ham.
I wonder what I wanted to see how long would it take for people to go crazy and eat literally everything. That probably because people probably be eating books and stuff, paper. I know Fortune Cookie ink is edible actually. You can eat the ink of Fortune Cookie papers. Don't try that at home. This isn't a thing I'm saying.
Wait, but can you eat the paper? Is the paper edible?
Yeah, because people eat it all the time because they I don't know, they don't know there's paper in there.
I think paper's fine to eat technically. This isn't like I think this. I'm not. Yeah, I don't. No, don't do it. I'm just saying hypothetically. But yeah, just get like a big, get the Harry Potter series. Those books are extremely huge, and there's just a bunch of them. Just get them and, take a nice snack.
We're gonna live forever, man.
On paper.
Okay, wait. But I was thinking about something. Because I read it over there. But like, this is a very good point, but not what we're talking about. But think about all of the people currently surviving solely on hospital care. All of those people are going to die so fast. As soon as, like, that's going to be a huge portion of humanity instantly gone. And then, like,
People who rely on
the
modern
diabetics.
medicine.
And then, like, going to die so fast. So all of these people are going to die really fast, regardless of how much we need to prepare because of modern medicine and how much we already rely on it. So, like...
Not to mention, we need to appreciate just how clean we are. Just because, how much we wash our, we have modern plumbing, this, and that. Without that,
I was subconscious about not showering today.
Huh?
Forget people who are in hospitals. We have people who are probably, heck, all of us. If you take all of us together, one of us probably has a high chance of dying of just like the common cold in a few years. Not maybe the common cold, but like a disease. If we're just not washing our hands properly, no proper plumbing, water isn't clean. Even if we have all the food we need, I think because right now we're basically talking about an apocalypse that's essentially the solar flare, which will, wipe out all electronics on Earth. That's essentially what we're talking about. Another one I suppose we could talk about would be, I don't know, all of them just result in dying very quickly.
Honestly, that's the kind of apocalypse I want. I want like a meteor apocalypse. I want just complete and total Armageddon. I want a time date. I want the president to come up on the television and say, it's meteor time. It's meteor o'clock. We're all fucked. Because then it's like, well, I know when I'm gonna die. It's a week from now. What do I want to do? Like right now, I've got to worry about like responsibilities and like not pooping in people's faces because that's rude and maybe I'll go to jail. But if I'm gonna die in a week, like I don't care. I can do whatever I want. Like, hey, like come with me. Let's go on an adventure. Everything on TV is people crying and the weather. All television is just stopped. You don't have a job to do. Get in my van. Let's go have some fun. Like, whoa.
Get in my van.
Made a movie about that. That's literally a movie, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of movies because everyone knows it's a good idea.
Yeah. Get in my van. Let's have some fun.
There's a lot of things you can't do because people stop going to work. Like, you can't fly anywhere because pilots are like, why am I going to fly a plane? I'm going to die in a week.
I can't fly anywhere. I can steal a plane. If I fly it wrong and die.
Sure.
I would just steal a plane. I would just steal. Yeah, we can. Earth and I will steal a plane. We'll act like pilots. Yeah, people. We want to steal a plane together when the apocalypse comes. We can do that. We can steal a plane, fly over to I don't know, some country and just crash it into the ground.
Neil, you live really far away from me. By the time I get to you, we'll both be dead.
Then I'll steal a plane and then I'll crash over to you.
Okay, you do that.
Plane. Yeah.
I'll be in Costa Rica by the time you get here.
I'll just fly somewhere and I'll try to land a plane and I'll die. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it doesn't look that hard.
It doesn't look that hard.
Pilots get training because they have to do it again and again every day for a long time. I can do it once pretty well. Probably.
But all those buttons don't even do anything. We'll just press them all at once.
2012 did it fine.
I'm just going to press all the buttons and see what they do. I'm not even I'm just going to press all the buttons individually and see what each button does. Because there's so many
buttons. Oh boy, I love buttons. Yeah, if we had to live in nuclear winter and had to like live underground. Imagine if like everyone from your town was all stuck in a really small bunker together.
Ugh.
I hate my
I live in the South, Arthur. That can't happen.
I live in Brooklyn. That's not really going to work.
We live in Florida. We don't want to be buried alive with a bunch of old white
I'm
straight
in Florida too. It'll be college kids and retirees.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Although,
At least we're in gay St. Pete.
yeah, we live in gay St. Pete, so there's gonna be a lot of gay people.
That'll be fun.
I live just like south of Alabama.
I
I
would.
live in Jersey City, but I don't like the people in my. I like people in my city, but people like in my block, I don't like them at all.
I live in like in the middle of nowhere in the woods. You can.
You can see
Actually-
the trees. from-
Actually, I think it would be good because there's a lot of people in my city that I'm like, I don't see you guys that often, or I don't really know. It's like, guys, this can be a community building like time for us.
Wait, how long are you
I
stuck
would
with
be crying, going crazy because I miss my family, blah blah blah. You know all that stuff. They're sad. Everyone's gonna die and stuff.
Like, no, guys, let's play some get to know you games. Okay, we're gonna go around a circle and do a motion that goes along with your name, so we can get everyone's name here. And it's like 200 people. Like, this is gonna take a while.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's do spider web. Okay, so you two have to figure out something that you have in common, and you two have to figure out something you have in common.
Guys,
Oh, your parents are both dead? Oh, great.
You guys are making nuclear winter sound like a lot of fun.
okay, wait,
Yeah.
guys, but can we explain a nuclear winter real quick for those who don't understand what it is, including
Sure.
him? And I tried to explain, but I didn't do it very well.
So like imagine, like, you know when it's cold out? Like imagine, you know, winter time?
You know, winter.
Okay,
Winter?
imagine that, but because of a nuclear bomb. And instead of like,
Wait,
no,
why is the bomb making it cold?
All right,
Okay,
so
okay.
wait, maybe Neil should explain this.
instead of snow, it's ash, and instead of like it being cold out, it's freezing out because the radiation and like stuff has blocked out the sun's rays.
Now, all the ash and dirt and crap that's in the
all the
sky is
stuff.
blocking out the sun.
Oh.
Yeah, what Gavin said. Because you have debris and all that stuff. It goes up, and once it blocks, and that's the whole point of it. Because you have radiation plus no sunlight, and that equals death. Because we don't have obviously we don't have food because we can't really grow anything, and not to mention the fact that radiation and radiation's bad. It's not good for you. But so yeah, nuclear winter. It's all about. It sucks. It also could happen from an extremely large volcano exploding, like the Yellowstone volcano. We talked about that. That would cause a nuclear winter, as well as an asteroid hitting Earth, which would eventually wipe out the entire life, all the life on the planet. So an asteroid hitting Earth probably wouldn't kill it just like that. It probably would. I mean, for a very long, the large impact radius that it has would kill everyone, and like the tsunamis and earthquakes and everything, that would kill everybody there, and like fireballs falling from the sky, like the things on, just stuff, it would kill people. The chaos in the streets will kill people very fast around the impact zone, but nuclear winter will eventually wipe out all the life on the planet.
I have kind of a different version of the apocalypse, which is kind of the creepiest version I can think of and the most unpleasant, which would not be an instant death or just kind of a natural disaster, but like an invasion of the body snatchers type things. Have you guys seen that movie or familiar with that at all?
Why don't you explain it for the kids at home?
Sure thing. So Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a movie that was also remade, but it's, if I recall correctly, I saw it when I was very young, but aliens come down, I think, and they start taking over people. So they abduct you or kill you or something and replace you with an identical version of yourself, but that is part of the hive mind. So it looks like you and goes about the day normally, but it will try to infect other people and create more pod people. And so it would be an apocalypse where you're living your life and suddenly your family and your friends are
Not that.
replicants, just fake, creepy versions of their past selves.
Oh, like The World's End.
It's like a lot of movies. There's a
Yes, only with creepy aliens instead of robots.
They were
And the creepy aliens will point and screech, and it's terrifying, and will
They're
scar
creepy
you.
alien robots. I think it still counts.
It will scar you with your young mind, like it did me.
Goodness.
But why would this happen? Like, who gives enough of a shit to, like, start impersonating humans? Like, I want to understand what's going through their mind.
I don't remember. It's been a very long time since I've seen the movie.
Well, like, if an alien comes down and says, okay, these stupid humans gotta go because we need this planet for, like, fucking whatever. So, well, we don't want to fight them because they may be stupid, but they have a lot of bombs and stuff. So that's not a good idea. Hey, look, we have this ability to snatch people's bodies. Let's just slowly take them over because we got time. Let's just chill in Bermuda till, like, that's all sorted out.
Also,
or they could be sending out like less
you know,
intelligent versions
study.
of themselves to be farmers on our planet to send resources back up to their home planet. Something like that.
Sure.
Another thing is something going off a tangent of that is an alien invasion of sorts, and a motive for that, and that would be that, well, not the motive, but just how, to put it in just easier terms, just how screwed we would be if that happens. We have nuclear bomb, humans come together and fight, human power, no, you're dead. Because you have to understand, imagine shooting a caveman a nuclear bomb and just how blown away that caveman would be, figuratively and literally. And you would, and just imagine just this, just their world, they can't even comprehend a weapon of that power. Even like a simple like handgun, like a revolver, bang, bang, bang. They would just be shocked by that. Oh my God, look at this. And heck, we can't even friggin' get ourselves to Mars right now. We can't get humans to Mars right now. We're still debating how to stop the radiation. So if there's an alien civilization
on Venus,
let's say an Alpha Centauri or something, and they come over here and they're like, hey, humanity, you're gonna die. The motive is irrelevant at this point in time. The point is that we are gonna have a problem because they will probably have weapons that we cannot even begin to comprehend. Seriously. It's just unbelievable. It would be equivalent to showing a caveman a nuclear bomb simply because they are just so advanced and so powerful that they're able to travel all that way. And who knows what kind of weapon they may have at disposal. Now, however, their motive is probably, it's unlikely for them to do this. Why would you spend all that time just to, war on this planet? As far as I know, despite all the movies that are out, our planet's not special, okay? You can go to an uninhabited planet and get all the stuff we have. I mean, it's unnecessary to come here. Unless there's some sort of weird motive that we can't comprehend, which is likely, they probably would just be coming to make peace.
No, our planet is pretty rare. I mean, to us, it's the only planet we found that's created intelligent life. So that's pretty special. So maybe there is something special about our planet that has facilitated that, and they want whatever that is.
That is plausible.
There's an Earth soul in the middle of this planet that just gives out intelligence to random species.
Soul.
But that's what God is.
But the whole thing is that it would be probably a lot better to try to reason with humanity. And humanity isn't that stupid. I hope that they would just say, okay, aliens, take whatever you want because I would much rather have you rob us than you exterminate all human life. I mean, because come on, let's be honest, we're going to lose. I mean, unless they suck, we're going to lose. Arthur, are you trying to talk?
I don't think we would lose. I think we would win most things.
Throwing shade right off the bat.
I so don't think we're like smart enough to just go, no, just do whatever you want. We won't fight. No, we're not like that. I doubt that. I doubt that we'd even come together as like countries to fight this. We'd still argue about it, and we wouldn't progress.
I hope everybody would be smart enough to. I would just hope everyone would be smart enough not to fight them. But let's be honest here. It's how all alien movies go. Somebody's going to be like, hey, let's get these aliens out of here. Let me throw a rock at them. And eventually that idiot starts a whole war there for extermination of humanity. Movies. Yeah, don't throw rocks at the aliens. That's basically the entire summary of this episode.
No, it's not.
Wait. I thought the summary of this episode was we're all
Except
gonna
death.
die.
Okay,
Except
we're all
that.
gonna die.
No, the summary of the episode is we're all gonna die, so don't worry about it.
And get in Arthur's van.
Get in Arthur's van. Listen, if Arthur shows up with a van and says "get in," let's go have
Get
some.
in Arthur's van and accept death.
Sometimes get in the van.
Second for me to decide. I will be.
Guys, there's two big problems with that. One, if you don't know me, don't get in my van. Learn to trust me, and then maybe do it. And two, I don't have a van. I have an SUV. I'd have to buy a van first.
This episode's based on a
Get in
lie.
Arthur's
The
SUV.
apocalypse will steal a van. We already know you.
Second
Plus,
the apocalypse starts, we'll spot Arthur driving in his car to go quickly get a van, to steal a van from a dealership, driving by as fast as he can. Because we all need to get vans when the apocalypse comes. The van is the ultimate vehicle, especially
and
this battle.
Kevin RV.
And get
Yeah.
that POW belt.
Yes.
So, anyways, yeah, maybe we should take a break then.
Guys, I think there's one thing that we really haven't thought about yet, and we really should, which is the Flash. So, hear me out. Why haven't we thought about time travel apocalypse? Because that's totally a thing that can happen. I mean, if someone can go fast enough to travel back in time, like, forget, like, trying to, like, prepare for the apocalypse. They can mess something up 1,000 years ago and totally change our world so we don't even know what's going on. They could become the dictatorship. They could make the entire world go into nuclear winter in the 1950s, and we'd just already be living in it. We wouldn't have time to prepare.
But then it wouldn't be the apocalypse to us. It'd just be normal. Like, oh, remember that, like, our great-grandmother we had to deal with that big war? That was crazy, right? Oh, well.
Also, I think that if they really wanted to exterminate humanity, they would just go back to when we were stupid Neanderthals and there were probably two of us, and they'd be like, well, not two of us, figuratively speaking, and they just destroy those primitive few people there, and they destroy the precursor to our evolution, rather than destroying us in a state where we can actually fight back and actually might destroy the planet more. The much better thing to do would be to go back before we, when we have a very small, very stupid population of Neanderthals and exterminate them.
Okay, you guys are looking at this like the
It's
very
super true. We probably wouldn't be existing right now.
If I had the ability to time travel and I knew that I wanted to wipe out humanity, I wouldn't do it the easy way where you just go back. No, I would do it like the conniving, awful, terrible way where you go in and mess little things up every once in a while and it just makes minor effects. So it you can't even realize that it's happening.
Wait, but who's
And
time
then everything
traveling?
just goes,
A human is trying to destroy humanity?
yeah.
Well, in theory, Barry Allen has turned evil and is just
Barry Allen?
Yeah.
Barry Allen.
Barry Allen? Who's
The
that?
Flash. Earth 2.
Wait,
He
but
doesn't
if you do something like that, if you watch like time travel things, if you go back in time and make a huge change, you're making this that you never existed,
Yeah.
and that's going to create a paradox, undoing what you did, and like that in and of itself is going to end the world. So
I mean, there's ways you can get around paradoxes.
yeah, Doctor Who's done it multiple times.
No,
Depending
the
on
Flash
what-
style. Don't talk about Doctor Who. This is not the podcast to talk about Doctor Who.
Okay, I don't watch The Flash.
This is
I
the.
probably just committed a sin by saying that, but
Why are you
I don't
on
watch
this
it.
podcast? That's what this podcast is about.
This went from apocalypse discussions to a fandom war.
I watched
It's about
3
the
seasons
Flash
last
and
night to
accepting
cram for this
death.
podcast.
Watch what?
I said I watched 3 seasons last night to cram for this podcast. It was required watching. Arthur told
Yeah.
me.
Joey knows what's up.
Damn.
Thank you, Joey. But what do we think about diseases? Like not a zombie apocalypse, but like just an outbreak of some disease that is slowly killing people.
Well,
Everyone's afraid of them.
What?
we already have.
Very afraid of diseases.
I think that we all have a very real problem with this due to the fact that we're already having, if you look in, there are studies going on, I believe it's in China, where they're going to densely populated areas where they're administering antibiotics and vaccinations to certain serious diseases. I can't really name them. I think they're uncommon. And they're actually there are bacteria that are mutating against these antibiotics and treatments. And that is a big problem because if we cannot kill these things, they could kill us. So we have a big problem there because we already have the bacteria that's mutating to be resistant to antibiotics. Antibiotics. And
Well,
we
I
have
mean,
problem with that already.
it's because of like how much we use antibiotics. Like we
Exactly.
overuse them. Like when it comes like in prescription medication and just to simple hand sanitizers and how much we use them.
No more hand sanitizer. Just use soap, guys.
We're going to just create these super bacteria and super bugs, and eventually we won't be able to fight them.
Yeah, exactly. The overuse of, and that's one of the reasons we're seeing it. The more we try to treat it, I mean, and that's another reason it's probably coming from China. We're having, a huge amount of problems with, they have these big populated areas. They're giving out these treatments for the diseases, and the bacteria has more time to spread in more densely populated areas, and you have a big problem. It's a big deal. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that sucks. And there really isn't that much way to deal with it right now that I know. I mean, I'm not a biologist. I don't know what to do with this stuff. I'm not a bacteria person. I don't know what to do. I'm not a scientist. I'm sitting on a bed on an internet show. And let me give you advice on how to stop from dying.
We are on a bed with a really cool bedpost, so it's all good.
Yeah, Neil.
Got a mahogany.
Basis claims of advice based on things that we don't really understand is the entire point of the show. Don't let that stop you now.
No. As in, don't take my advice on how to knock, because I don't want somebody to be like, hey, I took your advice. I didn't use any hand sanitizer. I didn't use any antibiotics, and I died. It's your fault. It's
Okay. Disclaimer. We are not responsible for your death in the zombie apocalypse or apocalypse in general.
Yeah, basically we're going to say whatever we want, but if you die, it's not our fault.
I probably killed you
Apocalypse now.
because I'm a badass.
What?
That's the whole thing.
I agree.
No, I said I am probably responsible for your death in the apocalypse. I probably killed you. If you're watching this right now and you're like, don't worry, you guys aren't responsible. I am. If you die in the apocalypse, I got to you.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should go ahead and take a break now. Shall we?
We're getting a bit homicidal. I think that's a
Yeah,
good
let's go to the
We're
break.
starting to threat the audience here.
Don't
Okay.
worry, I got a new plaything to play with.
Hey,
Oh,
it's me.
Okay, let's go
Lock.
back. Let's go to the break.
Okay.
Studies have shown that the only thing that can really save you during an apocalypse is a beard. It's science. So people have been predicting the end of the world for hundreds of years. There's just something about the end of all things that fascinates people. Now, of course, most of these predictions have either been unfounded or just flat out wrong. I mean, remember Y2K and the Mayan apocalypse? But despite those predictions, there are theories that exist created by the scientific community that describe the most likely scenarios that could end all life on Earth. So this week, I gathered the most interesting and somewhat disturbing ones to share with you all. So here they are, 10 apocalyptic events that could end the world tomorrow. Number 1 is the Big Crunch. The Big Crunch theory says that the expansion of the universe first created by the original Big Bang will eventually halt, at which point it will begin to contract from the force of its own gravity, sucking everything that exists back into a singularity. That means that every galaxy, star, and planet would cease to exist, which of course includes Earth, and by extension, us. Now this shouldn't worry you for 2 reasons. First, from what we currently know, the universe is not only still expanding, but it's expanding at an accelerating rate, so you safe for now, baby. Secondly, if this did happen, there would be no warning anyways. You would just suddenly be shrunk
to a very, very small size and then
poof, gone. Number 2 is the heat death of the universe. This theory is basically the exact opposite of the Big Crunch, which says that gravity will never halt the expansion of the universe and that it will continue to widen and widen forever. So basically you're safe then, right? Well, not exactly. The laws of thermodynamics say that if the universe continues to infinitely expand, that all matter in the universe will eventually become evenly dispersed. This will cause stars to go out and ultimately leave Earth and everything else in a cold, dark nothingness. In case you missed biology class, not having warmth is really bad for anything that lives on Earth. The planet would essentially just become a giant ice ball. That's not good. Number 3 is an asteroid impact. Movies like Deep Impact and Armageddon may have moved the danger of an asteroid impact into the realm of fiction for most people, but the danger of one destroying life on Earth is more real than you might think. Our galaxy contains hundreds and hundreds of massive asteroids flying throughout space, some of which have been found by NASA hurtling directly at us. In 2005, a 390 meter wide asteroid called Apophis was said to potentially hit Earth by the year 2036 with the energy of 100,000 times that of an atomic bomb. Well, that asteroid ended up passing Earth in the year 2013, which is good news, except it arrived over 20 years earlier than expected, showing that even the world's greatest minds may not be able to tell if and when a catastrophic asteroid may hit Earth. I'm just filling you full of hope today, aren't I? Number 4 is a supervolcanic eruption. Throughout history, volcanoes have always had the power to cause massive damage and even destroy entire cities like Pompeii. Well, a supervolcano's like that, except they are millions of times stronger with ejecta of over 1,000 cubic kilometers capable of causing the extinction of humanity. Of the 6 supervolcanoes on Earth, the largest is in Yellowstone National Park in the United States. If it were to erupt, it would produce over 2 billion tons of sulfuric acid. In addition, it could create the equivalent of a nuclear winter with the resulting dust and debris blocking out the sun for several years. Now luckily, supervolcanoes rarely erupt. However, the Long Valley supervolcano in California has been showing signs of waking up in the last 20 years. So hide your kids, hide your wives, cause supervolcanoes gonna be raping everybody up in here. Number 5 is a global pandemic. New and deadly viruses are appearing faster today than ever before. As the Earth's population continues to grow beyond 7 billion people, the potential for new supergerms to develop and spread increases. Within the last century alone, we've seen 4 major flu epidemics as well as the emergence of SARS and HIV. And if Mother Nature doesn't create something that will kill us off, we might end up doing it ourselves, as anthrax, Ebola, and cholera have all been weaponized as biological warfare agents. But realistically, it won't be long before even the common flu is able to kill us off, what with everybody constantly using hand sanitizers all the time. Nobody builds up their immune system anymore. Go eat some dirt, lick a door handle. Stop being such a germaphobe. Number 6 is a giant solar flare. Solar flares, more properly known as coronal mass ejections, are enormous magnetic bursts from the sun that bombard Earth with subatomic particles at a speed of about 6.4 million kilometers per hour. Capable of reaching Earth within only minutes, a large enough solar flare could cause countrywide power outages and cut off our communication systems, meaning potentially millions of deaths. Now, the Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field are able to protect us from most solar flares. However, it just so happens that this year the sun will reach a solar max, which will cause it to enter a destructive period of turbulence, meaning a massive solar flare may be headed our way soon. In other words, before the solar flare, your biggest problem might be your cell phone battery dying, but after, it'll be learning how to poop in the dark while listening to riots outside. It'll kind of be like your own personal episode of Survivor. Look forward to it. Number 7 is a black hole. With an estimated 10 million black holes in our galaxy alone, the possibility of one gobbling up Earth one day is very real. The reason that they're so dangerous is that unlike an asteroid, a black hole does not have to come in direct contact with Earth to bring destruction. All that one has to do is pass through our solar system and it would distort all of the planet's orbits. This could cause extreme climate swings on Earth or even fling our planet into deep space. There's even a potential for us to one day accidentally create our very own black hole right here on Earth through particle accelerator machines like the Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider and the Large Hadron Collider. Yay, science! Number 8 is environmental destruction. There is certainly no shortage of threats to our environment today. Global warming is causing sea levels to rise as well as wild tropical storms. Honeybees have been disappearing by the millions since 2006 in something called colony collapse disorder, which is resulting in the slowing of propagation of food crops around the world. At least 30,000 new species become extinct every year, faster than any other point in history, which is causing major disruptions in the worldwide ecosystem, and that's just a few of the problems that we face today. There's even something called the Clathrate gun hypothesis that says that there are massive deposits of methane gas under the ocean in permafrost that are in danger of melting. If that occurred, it would be like the Earth releasing a giant fart, which would dramatically speed up global warming, causing untold havoc. Death by giant fart. It's how I'd always hoped I would die. Number 9 is global dimming. Simply put, global dimming occurs when air pollution creates a thick cloud barrier that blocks sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface. And the worst part about it is that it's already happening. Some scientists believe that global dimming has caused the United States to become 10% darker than it was in the 1950s. If global dimming continues, at best we're dealing with more acid rain and smog and less food and oxygen for a growing populace. At worst, we could see Earth enter another ice age. Yeah, not exactly a win-win. And number 10 is a gamma ray burst. Gamma rays are a form of high-frequency electromagnetic radiation estimated to have 10 quadrillion times more energy than our sun. When two collapsed stars merge, they release a supernova of gamma rays that's so powerful that it briefly outshines the entire galaxy. If such an event occurred within a distance of 1,000 light years away from Earth, the resulting rays would literally fry Earth in an instant with an unimaginable amount of radiation. Luckily, all gamma ray bursts observed thus far have been extremely distant. However, there are some high-mass stars in our galaxy with the potential to explode. But don't worry, if Dr. Bruce Banner can survive it, so can you. No, I'm just kidding, you'll fry. Sorry. And that's it for this video, guys. As per usual, this was not an exhaustive list. There are many other theories out there about how the apocalypse could happen, like nuclear war like World War III, or the artificial intelligence robot takeover. I just chose the ones that I personally felt were most interesting. If you'd like to add me to Facebook and Twitter, or check out my second channel, the links to those will be in the description, along with all my other social networking sites. And you better do that because the apocalypse is coming, so why waste time, you know what I'm saying? And I will see you guys back here next Saturday with a brand new video. Peace. Hello and welcome to the outro screen. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my new video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to click the big red subscribe button below to subscribe to my channel. I release a new video every Saturday, and while you're at it, maybe click the like button, share this on Facebook, get hit by some gamma rays. Wouldn't that be nice to just be hulked up by some gamma rays? We all gotta go to the gym. Damn, takes so much effort. Anyways, I should probably go there now. So I will see you next week. Bye.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So we're still talking about apocalypses here. So I was starting to think about sort of a governmental apocalypse, sort of a like dictatorship where some theoretical
some fantastical, completely theoretical political figure
ruler just gets it in his own orange head that he should make a bunch of stupid decisions that cause kind of there to be one ruler of the world and have absolute power, and the rest of us are kind of just slumming it in the apocalypse. Sort of an Immortan Joe situation in Mad Max, which is kind of, off the top of my head, probably my favorite version of the apocalypse, which we should probably talk about that, like, apocalypses in movies. But, yeah. As an apocalypse. But a good question is, after the apocalypse, if we were in fallout shelters or in the government, how would we build? How would we come back from the apocalypse?
Well,
yes.
I think that the only really viable what would happen is, so how many people would survive this, like, theoretically? Because the first thing you need to have is a viable gene pool. You know, like enough people that have, enough diverse people who aren't related to be able to reproduce and have a viable population, and then continue that viable population.
I'm not going to share what we're talking about. Okay.
So assuming that you do have a viable gene pool, if you probably go back to the Dark Ages, you could probably salvage some technology. That's a hard one because you don't know how big the population's going to be, how long it's going to take for it to develop. I don't know.
Should probably die.
Well, regardless, that kind of thing will take forever. Like it did at the beginning of human civilization. That's going to take a long time.
To get to the state of the world right now, it would, a long time.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't just straight go back to the Dark Ages, we would still have the collective human knowledge we've gained so far. The books wouldn't all just immediately vanish, and people would still have their trade skills and their education that they could pass down.
Speaking of skills, what skills would be most useful and in what apocalypse?
To be honest, I personally think that the skills that would be most
Did you read
useful.
that off of a notepad? It sounded like you read it off of a notepad.
No. My notepad is covered in chocolate. I can't do that.
Skills that I think the skills that would be most useful. Unfortunately, nobody's really knows them that well, because I guess if you're like, oh, I work at a construction site, I do this, this, and this. Okay, but what do you use at the construction site? Probably use machinery. Okay, use machinery. Well, if you get machinery, you have to go find it. You have to get a power source. The skills that would be most useful in a sort of apocalypse like that. It's going to take a very long time. And to keep passing down knowledge, if you look at history and other things and just how distorted something gets, I know this is a really stupid example, but I'm just going to use this example anyways. You ever played that game called Telephone, where you're like, you whisper something and, it goes all around? It's, it really and it's distorted at the end because the original message, when it goes all around the people and they all whisper to the other person next to them, it's really distorted. We don't know how well we'd be able to teach people the skills that we need and for generations upon generations to get to the point. So I think it'd maybe be something like Telephone. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a dumb example, but it's an example.
I think that would definitely happen with teaching people history and things like that. But if you're teaching practical skills like medical training and things you can actually be using and experimenting on with other people, it wouldn't deteriorate that quickly.
Well, actually, there's no guarantee that after an apocalypse, all the people that lived are excellent at stuff like math and science. So there might be a long period where all the people that are left kind of know it all right. So there's a long period of people having to relearn the advanced parts of that. So yeah, there would be a lot of knowledge that would be lost in that.
Have you ever worked on a construction site? Because a lot of long-time construction workers could build a house pretty well if they needed to. They do use a lot of machinery, but they also know how to do it without it.
I think another thing is that when it comes to passing down skills, like what you were just saying about, medical training or even building a house, you have to know where are you going to be, how many people do you have, and how many people do you have that know the skill. So let's say you have to teach one person, and let's say you have to be in some sort of shelter. Okay, so you're in that shelter. For medical training, okay, let's say one person. Let's say you have a bunch of people down there, and you want to teach them all medical training. The only problem you'll have is you don't have any facilities. You don't have any you probably won't have any advanced technology, what we all take for granted when it comes to medical sciences. And building a house, that could be a little bit harder when it comes to teaching people in that bunker this and this. If you're above ground, well then sure, but you have other problems like fending off who knows what and trying to survive and live a long life. There's no really proper way to know how long it's going to take to get society back to order and what skills we will retain through the apocalypse, if any.
Skills would definitely deteriorate over time. Facets of knowledge would be lost, but we still wouldn't reset back to Middle Ages level of knowledge of subjects. We would retain some things.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that.
Okay, so a lot of the things that we're discussing, we're only discussing from the point of view of first world people, because we all live in a first world country, as far as I know. I don't know where all of you live though. So
Probably a good thing.
So would the first world countries survive longer, or the third world countries? Would they be surviving longer?
Depends on the apocalypse.
It does depend on the apocalypse, but what apocalypses would affect what countries more?
Well, I think it depends on which type of apocalypse, obviously. So I think that the problem with third world countries is that there's really no way. Well, third world countries on average have, lower economies, and because there are quite a few more of them at lower economies, and not the same living standards that they have in first world countries. Unfortunately, third world countries, actually the way they're categorized is by their stance in the Cold War, which is the 1, 2, and 3 third world countries. Yeah, so it's kind of, but I think we'd have to go by individual countries. So we could go by the biggest third and second world countries, Russia, China, India, South Africa. South Africa actually would probably, South Africa is rather advanced. relatively speaking. So we'd have to go through, very countries that have civil wars going on, and which are like some countries in Africa that may have civil wars. I've trouble pronouncing words today. Wars going on, and other conflicts, like heck, maybe you can even get clean water or a viable source of food. So those countries would definitely be affected differently than other countries. Anyways, so yeah, maybe we should go and say what we should do with each country. I don't know.
I think small groups of people who are already living in small villages that are isolated, who already go to wells to collect their water, and who are fighting diseases already in their water and systems like that wouldn't be as affected because that's already their standard of living. They already know how to deal with that to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, definitely. But what would it come to? What do you think it would come to with, let's say, like a very densely populated countries like India and China, very densely populated areas? They definitely rely on technology. And what would let's go with? So I think that in China, India, or any sort of very densely populated country, an asteroid hitting or something like that, instant death. I mean, so many people in such a small area get dead. But when it comes to more long-term effects like nuclear winter, you don't know how that would work out. I mean, we'd have to theorize the same way we theorized with, how we would figure it out. So, yeah.
I don't know this situation, so I can't speak on that. I know my situation, so I can speak on my situation.
I think that apocalypse such as a nuclear winter would affect other places other than very rural villages out in the middle of nowhere. It would probably affect them the very similar way it affects us. Lower food resources. So while we may still have technology, it would still be a huge problem because, we still have technology which could keep, certain places in order for longer amounts of time. But I'm talking with military strength, of course, because, that's human solution to everything, So that would probably come into effect, probably martial law and rationing. But other than that, I think, unfortunately, the more densely populated countries, since they would have less food, they might, die a little more quickly.
I think a military base would probably be a pretty great place for the apocalypse to happen. You'd be around a bunch of people that you trust. You'd be a bunch of people who have training, at least some minimum amount of survival training, and be able to fend for themselves. And there's already kind of a built-in order there, so you know who to follow and stuff.
Yeah, if you're on a military base, they have a really good structure, and they can self-organize very quickly, which would be really helpful.
But then the military will take over during the during the apocalypse.
Yeah, I definitely think martial law would come into effect.
God damn it, Marshall.
So, anyone else have something to say on something?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of different apocalypses that we haven't thought of. The one I feel like I've talked about this before in the apocalypse on this, but apocalypse I fear the worst would be the no hope apocalypse, where just something's happening but no one else thinks that they can do anything about it. So I'm the only one who is trying to stop it. It's really depressing.
Yeah, no allies. That sucks.
I think the biggest problem is the innate fear we have that once order gets disavowed, once there's no government and sort of a believed order to everything around us, what will other people do? Can we trust people to stay civil and stay sane when there's no like civilian structure to keep them in line?
And I think something that is a lot different is because we're not even just talking about the absence of a government. We're talking about the absence of a government and a problem that could make even the most sane and rational person go completely out of their mind, which is the impending destruction of the entire human race. So it's not even the absence of a government. It's it's like just this what is possible. This inevitable thing that's gonna happen. You're gonna die. There's nothing you can do. Everybody's you ever loved or loves you or blah 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 blah. Everyone's gonna die, and just thinking about that probably drives few people insane, more than a few.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fear. That's the reason why we make so many movies and television shows about the apocalypse is what will you be when there's not this world behind you keeping you up? It's this world where you can show who you truly are because there's no social pressures to be who you are anymore. Are you going to turn into the hero where you're going to defend your family and make the right choices, or are you going to become a villain and act selfishly? Or are you just going to go insane, as both sides of that spectrum will do because of the struggles and the pressures you'll have to go under?
Yeah, I mean, nobody really knows how they'll act in such a situation. We would all like to think we'll all act rationally and calm and everything will be fine and dandy because we're all so civilized and lovely, but I mean, who knows? Maybe even half of us will go absolutely, completely insane. And we don't even know what we could do because none of us have ever been in a situation even remotely close to the entire ending of the human, race.
Yeah, I mean, there's an example of how nice people act in like floods and emergencies and how people usually try to work together, but those are usually very short term, and those are there's sort of this idea that once this is over, we're still going back to society. It's not the world is over. It's just the world's having trouble right now. And I think there's I think those people are good, but there's that different mindset of help me out now because people will like you and that's the proper thing to do. And you don't have to help me out now because there's no real reason anymore. You're not going to go home and people aren't going to congratulate you for doing a good job. You're not going to get in trouble if you do something mean to me.
So then it's really how do you want to see yourself when you die? Because you're going to.
Yeah, you're the only person who's going to judge you, or yourself is the only opinion that matters. So what do you want to see yourself as?
Well, to be honest, I would probably just, I mean, there's nothing really else. There's no, because I mean, I really try to see. I used to really try to see, our lives as the net difference you make in the world, even if you don't do even if you do almost nothing your entire life, you've made at least some small difference in the world by maybe you worked this job and that job or done this and this here and there, and you've at least done something that has affected the world in at least some minor way. But I've always taken some sort of, comfort in that thought, but realizing that it doesn't even matter. Even if humans conquer the entire universe, if we die, what difference does it make? It doesn't make any real difference. And even if it does make a difference, what's the point of that difference in the first place? And every human on Earth will have to come to that realization very fast, quick, and they probably won't be prepared for that. And a lot of people will probably go crazy. I mean, and how many people will just be like, I don't care. They may even just go out and start killing people everywhere on the streets just because they just go absolutely insane. They don't care about anyone. They don't care about themselves. Yeah. This apocalypse is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've honestly thought about it a lot, and honestly, I think if I did live in that world, I do wonder if I would be the bad guy in that situation. Like when I see I used to watch The Walking Dead more often. When I see the villains in that show, I like way more understand the logical path that they went on to be who they are than Rick or any of the main characters. And like I'm definitely like, yeah, in a post-apocalyptic world, I probably wouldn't be the hero. I would probably be the villain.
I was just thinking about that as well, because using The Walking Dead as my same comparison, I saw all the villains in The Walking Dead, and I understood those people. And I understood, I understood Loki, because, he wanted, what he was doing was for his own benefit. And I have fully accepted the fact that in the apocalypse, I would do one of two things. One, I would become the villain. Two, I would jump off a cliff. Which one of those things I would do, I think that depends on the apocalypse and who I end up being in that situation. But me being the hero does not seem likely.
Well, the hero...
That's a really good point, though. Like, how are you the villain? Like, it's a really good point. I know Jimmy just typed that in our little chat. He asked, like, how are you the villain?
Okay,
Or yeah, the antagonist.
Okay, so...
I can.
You're the one who's like trying to control people. Like, you'd be the kind of person who's trying to create a society, a dictatorship, amongst all of these people, these scared,
in the Walking
helpless
Dead,
people.
The heroes are a band of people just trying to survive, and the villains are usually people using more extreme methods, better way of living. They usually have a town and clean running water, but they've usually done some unspeakable act in order to get these nice living conditions. They're either going with an iron fist, have or done some other terrible deed in order to get this, and they're sort of the warning to characters of what happens when you let yourself go too far, when you take that leap and make the selfish choice.
And the terrifying thing is, I could totally see myself being that person. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't be doing it in the long run for the benefit of not just myself, but other people. But if no rules applied and there were no repercussions, and we were just fighting for our lives, I would play dirty, and I would...
Would you be the governor or Negan?
Oh, I wouldn't be Negan. I'd be the governor. And I'd do it with class, too.
Yeah, do what you need to do to survive. That's what you gotta do.
Yeah? Yeah.
So, Lachlan, do you think that the zombie apocalypse is where you would fare best?
I believe so, probably, because, well, I don't like the cold that much. So, nuclear winter, no thanks. And, sticking it out and surviving it by doing nothing and just sitting underground, it probably wouldn't work out so well for me. But the zombie apocalypse, that I could thrive more in. And that, it gives you the opportunity to sort of play the game without the rules, whatever that game does become. So, and I'm not saying that I'm the most equipped person, but I feel like I've sat back and watched how people work long enough that I could manipulate the other people that are losing it and are terrified to be equipped for me.
Man after my own heart. What about everyone else? What do you think would be the apocalypse you would survive best in?
One where we die instantly.
It would be nice to have an apocalypse where you have a clear antagonist like zombies or something else like that.
True.
That wasn't some virus or something that would be very difficult to fight. You would have more emotional catharsis with an actual enemy you could attack and kill.
And then another part of the zombie apocalypse is that we can't blame ourselves for it. I mean, we could if we looked into it enough, but like things like global warming destroying the planet, that we could blame ourselves for, and that would further destroy our emotional stability and mental stability.
I mean, but who
Well,
created
that and like after, like during the apocalypse, there'd still be some division because you'd have the type of people blaming the others for that happening. So there would still be this like fighting going on within each other.
Kevin, why do you feel that that apocalypse you would be?
I just don't think I'm cut out for the apocalypse. I feel like if something like the zombie apocalypse was happening or nuclear winter, I don't think I'd really want to be around for that. I don't really want to die by zombie or by freezing to death, so I'd hope I die quicker beforehand. You know, I have no desire to live through something like that.
I would probably, I have to concur with Joey. I mean, the emotional benefit of a zombie apocalypse and the psychological benefit, more like it, of being able of at least seeing a goal in mind. If there is some disease or some sort of asteroid striking the Earth, there's no really goal in mind. It's just you play the waiting game until you die. And nuclear winter, you play the waiting game. Electricity goes out, you play the waiting game. Zombies, I mean, there may be too many, it may this, but you really have that goal mentality, and it can benefit humans in the sense that we're tribal animals and us against them, and that could really help, and just the whole goal-based mentality of humans, and it would really just benefit us psychologically so much to have a goal, even a goal.
And then another aspect of that is that humans in a apocalypse setting, they're probably only going to care about like their generation people, and at best their own children. They're not really thinking about, generations down the line and whether they're going to survive or not. I mean, we already talked about this. We don't really care if the apocalypse comes after we died. We just want to keep it from happening while we're alive.
Yeah.
So things like the waiting game kind of apocalypse, that we're not going to do well in, because we don't really care if people in further generations survive. We want to survive, and if life isn't going well for us then, and we can't fight for a way out of it, we're going to give up really fast, and things are going to go to hell really fast. But in a zombie apocalypse setting, or an alien invasion setting, we can fight for our own generations and fight for our children. So we're going to care a lot more, and we're going to find a way a lot easier. So even if that adds up to nothing, we're going to try.
I think I'd do really well in like a Greek god apocalypse. Greek gods come down, want to kill everything. I don't know. I think I could talk my way out of that. They don't have
appease Zeus.
Yeah.
I can agree with you there, because I'm a really small person and I'm not a very strong person, so I had to get really good at talking my way out of situations. So I feel like I would benefit in a situation like that, where I could talk my way out of it. And I would definitely want you as a friend.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think what would happen is we would both be equal as in being able to talk our way out of things. So I would see you as a threat. So I would tell Zeus, don't worry about it, Zeus. I know we're both trying to talk to you. Here, why don't you put us both in a cage, and whoever walks away will be your ambassador.
Oh, God.
And I am 6'2" tall. And
Oh, God.
Oh, Zeus.
Oh, my God.
You may have a smart brain, but I have a smart brain, and I'm very large.
And a quarterback's body.
Yeah, I can sit on you and stop breathing.
Forget hang on. I mean, you just
Not a quarterback's body.
step on us.
They don't like
Arthur, the apocalypse is going to be Arthur. He's going to decide to step on all of us.
Yeah, if there was a giant apocalypse, I would be the giant. I'm like, hello.
You go back
What do you mean?
Attack on Titan apocalypse.
Oh, I'm the Titan.
I want an Attack on Titan apocalypse
I
just
don't.
to see all the people flying
I
around
don't.
in really tight pants.
No.
Like, that's what I want.
Dang.
I don't want to. All those like Titans look really weird.
What?
All the Titans look real weird. They're all like, oh.
You're creepy.
Yeah, they're creepy.
You've officially reached anime nerd stage of this conversation.
All leads.
I think the best anime by far is One Punch Man. That's art. It's a work of art right there. One Punch Man. Let's be honest here.
Do you guys think the closest we've come to is like an apocalypse has been like the Black Death or something like that? What's the closest we've come to complete human extinction?
Probably. Or at least that we know of, because like you said, history is really difficult to keep track of, even with the technology that we've developed. So things have happened that we probably don't know about that has brought us quite close to extinction in the past.
One time some drunk engineer got really close to the nukes and started playing with buttons and decided against it, but he got really close.
Oh, that would be me, though. This is why I can't have power over anything, because I'd get drunk one day and be like, you know, I really hate people. They're just messing things up. Let's kill them.
People are being really mean to me on Twitter. I'm going to go to the nukes.
Exactly.
All right. Do you want to talk about the best and worst apocalypse movies?
I don't watch apocalypse movies. I read apocalypse books. That's
Okay.
Watch anything related or look at any apocalypse literature, basically.
We can talk about apocalypse fiction. Lachlan, what is the best apocalypse book that you've read?
I don't really know. But there was a concept from one that I was thinking about that it's not the best one out there. It's probably really far from being the best one out there, but it has an interesting concept that it talks about, and that is The Rotten Ruin. I don't know if anyone's read that. Okay, but in it, they do this thing with the zombies where they're really honoring the dead, and they still, you know, have this sort of sentimental attachment to them, and that makes me wonder if this actually happened, if an apocalypse really happened, how much sentimental attachment would we have to our old world? And how much would we try to preserve it? What about the Bible? I didn't even think about that.
If we're talking about apocalypse fiction, I would say I have my mouth, but I must scream. It's a story about an AI basically fucking with humans for a while.
It's creepy and it's short.
Yeah.
They made a video game on that, by the way. Have you played it? Like point and click.
No, what is it called?
I Have No Mouth and I'm a Scream.
Oh, makes
Video
sense.
game.
I'll check that out.
It's creepy. I like I Am Legend. That's the book, not the movie. I haven't seen the movie, but the book's good.
The movie's good. I enjoyed it. I haven't read the book though.
They're very different. I've heard what like the endings is for the movie. Very different. The ending of the book is much more.
Yeah, I like the ending of the book. Without spoilers, I like the ending of the book because it's more accurate to literally the title of the book.
Why no spoilers? I want to be spoiled. Wait, tell me. No.
You know what? I'll tell you offline after because I don't want.
Yeah, it's a great. I actually didn't like how it was written. Like I didn't like the style of the writing a lot, but I really liked the book overall.
We have so many bookworms here. It makes me very happy.
I remember I was
I'm more into movies than I am books. Honestly, I can't think of a lot of apocalypse movies besides like Armageddon, Deep Impact, or Mad Max.
Seeing the movie to World War Z, I thought it was alright.
Oh yeah, World War Z was interesting.
I haven't read the book. I just heard the book is so much different and better.
Has anybody seen the TV show? It's called You and Me and the Apocalypse. It's I don't know when it came out, but it was a while ago. I did not watch that. I remember the way I watched that was kind of weird. I remember I was watching something on YouTube and it was sponsored by that show. It was like, this is sponsored by Yumi and the Apocalypse, and it was like a video from like years ago, and I was just like, you know what? I have spite for this. I'm just gonna look up Yumi and the Apocalypse full episodes online free. I don't know. I just wanted to do that. So I just watched the entire, and it's like one of those shows where it's like one season. That's the entire series. It was really good. I was impressed by it. It's like a comedy drama.
I don't remember.
That movie that came out called Pride and Prejudice Zombies.
Oh yeah.
That movie is really funny. And it's a zombie apocalypse movie. But like, it's hilarious. And there's so much humor in it. And it feels very wrong. It's really funny.
So speaking of an apocalypse we talked about, which was the no electricity apocalypse, there's a show called Revolution I used to watch. I watched part of it. That was all about that.
Yeah, I also watched part of it. It's not a show that really you. Hard to stick with that show. But to wrap up, I think a good thing to think about this is it's a good thought experiment to think about these kind of things. But honestly, you're just as likely to die in an apocalypse as you are to get hit by a car. And by just as likely, I mean just as likely, I mean way less likely. It's not something to honestly worry about that often.
You're definitely most likely going to die of something else before an apocalypse kills you.
Because that's what I was thinking. I think Neil was talking about it earlier of someone like planning their whole life to prepare for the apocalypse and then doesn't happen. I'm like, yeah, or what if it happens but they get hit by a car a week before it happens? Like,
oh, that sucks.
Oh my God. Have you seen that show Doomsday Preppers? That show is incredible. These people.
I think that's something that that it's just that for me, the thought of the apocalypse that's scary isn't the fact that I'm going to die, as much as it's going to be that everything that I've done for the human race, no matter how minor, maybe it's like making a post on the internet, doing this, something, it will mean nothing because everything that I've ever affected will be gone. And even if I do die, things that I will have affected will continue to go on. See, because, for example, these shows will be archived. And that will go on, and the people that have watched these shows will continue living. So, see, that's a minor effect. But the thing that's really scary for me with the apocalypse is that everything that I've ever done has literally no meaning because everything and everyone that I've ever affected in every minor way will be gone. So that's the part of the apocalypse that's scary for me. It's that I don't even matter at all. Anyways, yeah. Woo, apocalypse.
Great.
I'm really depressed now.
Nihilism, everyone. Nothing matters.
All right, are we doing finishing thoughts? Oh, I think Arthur already did his.
Just finishing thoughts now. Just leave everybody with a depressed note.
Yeah, if anyone has any lighter finishing thoughts.
No, I mean, I kind of agree with Arthur on this. It's like you can think about it, and it is what it is, but you shouldn't dwell on it because, like most of these apocalypse scenarios, there's not much you can do about. So it shouldn't control your life. But it is interesting discussion. So that's my finishing thoughts on the apocalypse.
And if you are going to worry about it a lot, a good thing to do is not prepare for it. To go out and live your life. Yeah. Because as we've established, you're not going to live that long anyway.
Yeah.
Drive safely. Live your life. And if Arthur shows up with a van, get in.
Good night, everybody.
All right, have a nice one.
Bye.
Sleep tight. Don't let the zombies bite.
That would suck.
If we want to change the world, we must first change the media. Mainstream media exists for the purposes of indoctrination and manipulation of public perception. The world of free and independent media is growing, and with the upsurge in information now available in the public domain, it has never been easier to access free and independent media. The exploration of this information resulted in an experimental project which would provide a fully supported space for researchers, whistleblowers, and seekers of all kinds to express themselves and educate the world. On the 1st of January 2015, Conscious Consumer Network was launched to the world. Nobody thought we would make it this far, but CCN is the longest running free and independent media network of its kind. CCN is a unique collaboration of hearts and souls, bringing you information from different perspectives to educate and inform. Since we started CCN, we have had only one desire, the pursuit of a free, fair, just, sustainable world, and this has not changed. Having overcome many challenges over the last 2 years, CCN is here to stay, and we've got great things lined up for 2017. Help keep CCN on the air by supporting the 2017 Network Support Fund.